Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Vegan Spirituality online gathering. My name's Lisa Levinson, and I work with In Defense of Animals, and we have this vegan spirituality program to offer spiritual resources for animal activists and to explore veganism as a spiritual practice. So we've been doing this for many years, and we have groups all meet locally, and even a new group that's just starting in the Gainesville, Florida area, and a new group starting in Phoenix. If you live in an area that doesn't have one of our vegan spirituality groups, please let us know. Contact veganspirituality@gmail.com, and you can check to see if there's a group in your area by going to veganspirituality.com. Look on the groups tab, and you'll see all the groups located in different areas there. And what we do is we gather together. We have monthly vegan potlucks. We have speakers, and we do some practices like meditation and invite in other sorts of often alternative types of healing modalities to explore what does it mean to be a spiritual vegan and figure out together as a community how we can express our vegan values. So for those of us who don't live in those areas with a regular group, or if it's just more convenient for you, we've started this online gathering. Host is Judy Carmen. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her, and she's the author of Peace to All Beings, one of my very favorite books.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here, and thank you for joining us tonight. We have an amazing guest tonight. His name is Frank Lane, and he is going to be doing this Great Compassion March. It'll be the first one this year, and so we want to hear all about that, but there's so many other things that Frank knows about and has been involved in. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about his background, and then I will turn it over to Frank. So Frank Lane has been consistently living a lifestyle contributing to the least amount of suffering in the world since he was a child, and he calls that ahimsa, which we're all familiar with that wonderful word. He most identifies with St. Francis, Cesar Chavez, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, John Robbins, Dorothy Day, and Einstein's sanctity of life. His mantra is to live a consistent life. No war, no racism, no poverty, no abortion, no euthanasia, no death penalty, no animal holocaust, or animal products. Frank registered as a conscientious objector against all killing with his government at the age of 17. At 15, he decided not to make his body a graveyard of tortured animals. He became vegan the moment he heard John Robbins speak, and he served on the board of Dr. Michael Clapper's plant-based advocacy nonprofit for over 20 years. I think a lot of you have heard of Dr. Michael Clapper, and he's been in a number of films about plant-based eating. Frank was also an activist with many nonprofits, including Earth Saves International, Greenpeace, and the Catholic Worker. John Robbins, the author of Diet for a New America and The Food Revolution, calls Frank's work, quote, an inspiring message from an inspiring man with a passion for healthy people and a healthy planet, and end quote. That's pretty impressive. The author of the life-shifting and revolutionary work, Be in Heaven Now, that is his book, and it's also a website, which maybe, Lisa, you could put in the notes maybe. It's www.beinheavennow.com. And the book is about using adversity for awakening to our spiritual self. It's an intriguing work. It takes you on an adventure, teaching that God belongs to all of us and to shift our imprisoned minds. He's also, on top of all that, the CEO of 3 multi-million-dollar organizations from startup. He's a writer, a video director, an author, social entrepreneur, an inventor with multiple technology patents. And then last, he is directing the Great Compassion March, and you can look that up on the web at www.thegreatcompassionmarch.org. And he is organizing this to make the greatest difference in as many lives as possible. So, Frank, thank you so much for joining us. We're very honored to have you with us. And I'd like to ask you the first question, to tell us about your journey to veganism. We know a little bit from what I just read, but tell us more about how you became vegan.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with the both of you, and you certainly inspire me, both of you, in the work that you're doing. So thank you very much. The pleasure is absolutely mine. And so my journey really as a child began in a very Catholic Italian family where everyone eat meat as just a general practice. But when I became vegetarian at about 14, 15 years old, my Italian relatives just couldn't understand. They said, "What's the matter you? You know like the meatball, you eat like a peasant. Are you crazy?" That's how Italians speak. And so there was a lot of adversity to becoming, especially vegan and vegetarian at the age that I did. And so I learned how to fight that type of adversity at a very young age and how to get along and how to communicate in a way that would make veganism or vegetarianism more palatable for most people, which has been very difficult with some people. But I can say that a large portion of my family has converted, which is fantastic. And I'm still working on a lot of others as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this movement is so important. This is why I created the Great Compassion March, because the Great Compassion March is a way of effectuating a higher level of understanding about compassion. Compassion is very unique, is in that it is the broadest spectrum, or I should say funnel, to bring people into an understanding of what compassion is. Because when I talk about compassion, to whomever I'm talking with, no matter their walk in life, they get it. It doesn't matter if they're vegetarian or not, their religious belief, their ethnicity, their economic status. When we talk about compassion, there's a commonality there. And I just want to say to my fellow vegans, compassion is a very powerful tool to helping to communicate this message. So
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So my journey to veganism has really been about living the most consistent life possible and being congruent against war and racism and violence and euthanasia and abortion and death penalty, and of course, what I call the animal holocaust. And so that has been what has driven me for so many years.
So now, are you saying you went vegetarian at 14, which was very hard to do in the setting that you were in, but then did you become vegan? Did I read that correctly when you heard
John Robbins
speak?
When I heard John Robbins speak in 1987, I got it. I had already been vegetarian for about 15 years.
Okay, I see.
And then I heard John speak, and immediately I heard truth. I knew that I had to be vegan, and I've been vegan since then.
Wow,
and
wonderful.
And John has become a great friend, and I worked with Earth Save International for many years. and many other nonprofit organizations. But I have always supported John and his work. He and Ocean, his son, have done phenomenal work.
Oh, he's one of the early pioneers.
Yes, absolutely.
What was it that he said that moved you so much? Do you remember?
I think that John was the first one that I really connected with, that he was on this journey as a spiritual path. Many other people I had talked to were on it for health reasons, and I could certainly understand that as well. But John was coming from his heart. He knew exactly what I was feeling and articulated it so well in Diet for a New America and some of the other books that he wrote. And so I loved working with him and promoting his messages, and I did that for many years. It was fantastic.
Well, and that leads into my next question about how veganism helps you on your spiritual path. You were already on a spiritual path, it sounds like. And so what John said really helped put the two things together, veganism and spirituality, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Veganism, to me, are the bricks in the road to spirituality. So if we want a path to walk on that feels comfortable, it's veganism, metaphorically speaking, of course. I think that the first act of animal liberation is when Jesus let the birds free from the cage. I think that was a monumental aspect that has changed the world in a variety of ways. And that brought me to the word that you said, ahimsa, which of course is nonviolent and doing the least amount of harm possible in this world. So this has been very near and dear to my heart, and I've tried to live an ahimsa lifestyle where all my businesses and my enterprises and my actions in everything that I do, I think about the pain and suffering that's associated with everything that I do, regardless if it's the products I'm making or the employees I have or the people that will be served by the different businesses that I had generated. And that's part of the vegan way of life as well. It goes hand in hand. I think it's very, very important to have that.
So that makes sense of what you're saying about living a consistent life, because even building a large business and having employees where a lot of people feel like you can't live by ahimsa when you're in that world, but you have done that. That's a beautiful thing.
And necessary, and especially in this climate. I'm not pointing any fingers right now, but we we certainly have to have a level of intelligence, of compassion, and that's what the Compassion March is all about. And I'm talking about every walk of life, raising the bar of compassion, because that makes the difference, and that's why we're doing the Compassion March.
So tell us more about that march. This is pretty exciting. This will be the first one, right?
Yes, this will be the first march. It came from a desire to have the strongest impact in this world for veganism. And I'd often thought, especially as an executive that has built many multi-million-dollar companies, I wanted to strategically put something together that could actually transform people's consciousness to an ahimsa or a vegan way of life. And so that's why I chose compassion, because compassion is the least offensive aspect to help a person gain consciousness about how they act, think, and behave, regardless of ideology. So it's a very, very important aspect. Um, so here is something that most people can be for than against. Think about, and I'm in marches all the time, but most of the marches that I've gone to, it's because I was against something. But finally, we can march for something. This is a march for something. It's a march for compassion. And we are bringing people from a very diverse populations throughout the world. We're bringing together all these different religious organizations and non-religious organizations. And we're bringing together animal rights activists, the environmentalists, and many other people. Now imagine this. Here we are with tens of thousands of people marching, and each group is holding up their own particular sign about what compassion is. Because compassion has a multiplicity to it, but there's a sacredness to compassion. And that's what we're bringing together with all these tens of thousands of people marching.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it gets very exciting when we think about that. And in the march, there will be speakers and activities going on that will be interactive in the march itself. So there will be different booths of compassion so people can understand what that is. There'll be animals there so we can have compassion with our loved one as well. So, and of course, there's going to be 100 to 200 booths, and each booth will have some semblance of compassion. So people can really come there and become engulfed in what compassion is from such a variety. So you're going to have your different religious type of people and your non-religious type of people, and of course, all the people that love animals. And so when you see that and you bring all that together, I hope that will move our heart to a level of compassion that we are all moving toward a more compassionate lifestyle. And of course, most of my friends listening right now, we know that compassion is veganism. There's not too much more that can be a more compassionate way of living without ingesting violence and the suffering and this Holocaust that is going on with animals. Now, so why is this taking place, or why is this taking place right now? Well, I can tell you a few things. There's a great organization that has joined us, the Charter for Compassion. They have 1,600 affiliates throughout the world. So they and many other organizations, churches and synagogues and temples are all joining in to revel in compassion. I think that's really, really powerful. You may know the work of Melanie Joy, Dr. Melanie Joy. She did some fantastic work about the disconnect that people have in regard to the animals we love and the animals we eat. And
Right.
so it's powerful work, and I really applaud her for bringing that work into the mainstream. But this is a principle of this march. This is one of our goals of this march, is to make people intimately aware that there is this gap between the animals we love and the animals we eat. So many of the different exhibitors are going to be bringing that information forward. And at this march and at the convention and at the festival, there are going to be speakers speaking on these topics that will help really to illuminate these principles. And we also are going to have many vegan bands that are going to be speaking the words through their music to the populations that we're going to continue to voice this message through music and through different arts. Collective behavior is something, is a group dynamic that we are bringing to the surface, because collective behavior will move people to do things that they normally wouldn't do otherwise. And that's what this march is about. When they see the collective behavior of compassion and they are asking, well, what is compassion? It's loving on your brothers and sisters, loving on the animals, loving on the environment. It is a certain way of life of loving. And so that's what we want to bring out in full force. That's what this march is really all about.
So, Frank, where is this going to be? I'm sure everybody is wondering.
It's going to be at the Orange County Fairgrounds,
Okay.
October 28th and 29th. And we are securing that. I want to say right now, we've not secured it yet, but this is what we anticipate. And we are putting together all the pieces to make that happen. We've, of course, talked to the city. We're getting city permits and all the background aspects of making that work. But a great group of people are coming together. And I'd like to invite all of you to participate. You can participate anywhere in this world, and you can participate in this event. If you have products and services of compassion and of veganism, then come and exhibit there. If you're in another state or a different country, then we have the blueprint that we will give you so you can have this at the same time in your particular country. We have countries that have already signed up that are marching and that we're sending the playbook to. So that's very exciting. So really, the time is now. The time is now for so many reasons when I say that. Finally, we can be something for than against. That's why the time is now. Religiously, politically, socially, there has never been a better time for a mass shift in consciousness. And I don't know of a better tool of shifting consciousness than being aware of what we put into our sacred bodies. Our bodies should not be a vessel of pain and destruction. Our bodies should not be a casket of animals. Our bodies need to celebrate life in the best possible ways that we know how. And that means ending this Holocaust that's going on in the world. And that only happens by bringing up these areas and understanding what the sanctity of life is. And the sanctity of life is of course, a cornerstone to this march. When we understand the sanctity of life, when a child takes your hand, you feel the sanctity of life. When your beloved animals love on you, that's the sanctity of life. These are just areas that let us know that there is a sacredness to all life. there's a sacredness that all of us share, and loving on animals is their special gift to us that lets us know how to be loved and how to love. One of the things I love about animals the most, their gift to us is just phenomenal.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Well, so it sounds like this is obvious why this came out of your mind, because it is bringing in spirituality and compassion and veganism and ahimsa all together, but you're doing it in a big way. And I'm hearing you say that by calling it compassion, it's going to be more easy for people who aren't vegan to listen to what is going on at the fair and the conference. It's really a multi-pronged thing, because you're going to have a march and a conference with speakers and booths with lots of information. So this is a huge thing, and evidently going around the world, different places where they will kind of do the same thing with the same pattern that you're doing. Is that right?
Judy, you are so right. You hit the nail on the head, definitely. It is, most of us are vegan on this call. And as vegans, we have always been searching for a way to access a person's consciousness so they would rise to the occasion to have least suffering in this world. And that's what this is about. And that's what you just articulated. And that's what the Great Compassion March is about, is raising that level of consciousness. And all are welcome. I mean, they will know us by our love. That is what this march is about. And when people come together around this commonality of compassion, you cannot help but see that veganism, animal rights, is a cornerstone toward living a holy and compassionate life.
Right. Yeah, it makes everything in your life consistent. And if you believe in compassion and you want to be a compassionate person, but you haven't understood what veganism is, then this is a way to say, hey, you love compassion, you believe in compassion, this is the next step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would love to show at this point our public service announcement. It's 3 minutes and 33 seconds by design, 333.
Okay.
One of my favorite numbers. And this is the PSA that is being broadcast worldwide about this event. Now, I have to tell you that we've changed the date, so the date's not correct in this, so please excuse that. But
Okay.
but please watch it now. It's just a few minutes, and please share this in all the media that you possibly can. And we're going to play it now.
Okay.
Imagine marching for compassion, filling the streets for miles in major cities worldwide, concluding with a festival concert. Because now is the time to face the root causes of our suffering, the absence of compassion. Compassion impels us to work tirelessly to alleviate all suffering towards others, all animals, and the planet. Compassion in action is the driving force for the Great Compassion March, modeled after Martin Luther King Jr.'s March for Civil Rights and Gandhi's Salt March for Independence. Our obedience to compassion creates a world of kindness. We the people are standing together, so we march in solidarity to an ideal bigger than any institution or government. Join our mission to instill compassion into the fabric of our societies by lighting each heart, illuminating others so all can see. Each of us can become the light we seek. This event is being produced into a documentary film to unite the movement. You will be inspired to become one of the dedicated mass volunteers and marchers. You'll see amazing lives unfold on their journey emotionally, physically, and spiritually because of compassion. In every corner of our world, compassion can unite us. This act of compassion is for all sentient beings, animals, and Mother Earth. This march will be inclusive of all major religions, ethnicities, political, and economic populations. Help us make this the largest collective demonstration in history. To understand compassion, we must be able to see the connection between all life for our survival. In spirit, Cesar Chavez, Mother Teresa, St. Francis, and every compassionate heart will be marching with us. Never doubt that your heart, hands, and feet are tools for compassion. Join us for the Great Compassion March, Sunday, September 17, 2017. March and connect with us. Please share and visit this website, thegreatcompassionmarch.org. Compassion is the bridge that connects all humanity.
Everywhere in this
Yay. Yeah, I think we were all dancing to that.
I was. I
That was
definitely was.
great.
So
Yeah, that's amazing.
isn't this really what it's all about? There must be a higher love.
Yeah, and I
That
love that song.
yeah, I love it too.
Great. Well, so Frank, when will we be able to share that with the new dates on it?
Very soon. We're doing the revision right now, so within weeks we'll
Okay.
have it. Yeah.
So we should just
And
keep an eye on the website
yes.
and okay. Okay. So we can all do that. And as far as helping out, what are some of the things that our listeners can do?
Well, we certainly are looking for volunteers. And if you'd like to volunteer with whatever skills you have, please contact us because there are a lot of different opportunities available. And if you want to have an event in your own city or in a different country, we can help support that as well. So just contact us and get connected. And we have the vegan spirituality meetup groups here every month, and that group is going to be participating in the Great Compassion March. So you'll be able to join the group and participate through that as well. So just make contact with us and we'll have fun.
Yeah, great. Sounds wonderful. Um, is there anything else you want to add about that? Because I wanted to ask you a couple other questions.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Okay, well, one is we all know animal activism can be very traumatic and demanding. And what advice do you have for us as activists to stay spiritually strong? You've been in this for a long, long time, and you obviously have a lot of spiritual strength and wisdom. So, what can you advise us as far as we continue to work to liberate animals, and we want to stay strong and positive?
Judy, that's a good question. I would say it's important to recognize we don't see life as it is, we see life as we are. So if we are living the vegan ethic, then life can unfold for us and we will be more prepared to, I'm going to use this word, to fight the Holocaust that's going on right now. And I know that both of you do some marvelous work with supporting activists and activism, and I applaud you for that because it is definitely needed. And without helping each other, we lose our speed, we lose our grip. So we are here to help each other. That's the key issue. We need to help each other in whatever way that we possibly can. And it might be just a simple smile or just a simple acknowledgement of understanding what activists have to go through on a daily basis because it's tough out there. As an activist for 45 years, yeah, there have been some really dark times. Like I didn't think that things were going to happen in the way that I wanted. But I can tell you that because I maintained my faith, that amazing things just unfolded. Because I really think that goodness, when you're putting forth goodness, goodness will come back to you. So that's my word of wisdom there.
Thanks. That's wonderful. And of course, that's what our call is really all about: is helping each other and encouraging each other, inspiring, and letting us know we have each other. We're not alone in this, especially those of us who live in small towns in the Midwest and places like that where there aren't a lot of activists. And I am betting that, well, I know because I have read your Be in Heaven Now book, that there is some excellent advice there as well. And I think I mentioned the website for that, but that can also, the book Be in Heaven Now can be ordered on Amazon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I have read it. I love it, and it's a wonderful tool to encourage yourself. Have something like that to read and really see what Frank is talking about as far as putting out goodness, and then goodness comes back, and we can do that for the animals too, because they're always putting out goodness.
By not making your body a graveyard, you certainly can make your body a holy temple with live, beautiful, loving, compassionate foods.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it is getting on in time. Maybe we should open up for questions. I'll bet you we've got some people who would like to ask some questions. Lisa, are there any?
Sure. Yeah. So what happens is on our group, if you'd like to ask a question, you're welcome to do so in 3 different ways. You can actually ask the question by going to the chat box, and from there you can write the question in the chat box, and I'll check that out and read it aloud. Another way to do that is to you have controls if you're on the computer. You can unmute yourself. There's an audio on and a video on. You're welcome to turn both of them on if you'd like, so we can all see one another and ask a question or have a comment about the Great Compassion March. Another way is if you're with us on the phone and you're not on the computer, you can actually press *4 on your phone, and that will unmute you. So either of those ways, we've got 3 ways to connect, and we hope to hear from you. Actually, it's lovely when we get a chance to hear your voices, and then Frank can answer some of these questions that you might have directly. So for now, we don't have anything in the chat box that I can see, but people are welcome to do that. We do have somebody who said hello and said this was awesome, which is great. Thank you. So you can let us know if you have any questions for Frank. Let's see. Okay, so I just put that. Oh, here we go. Another question is, if we don't live in Orange County, what can we do to be involved with the march?
Well, first thing, contact us, because there are a lot of different opportunities, and it depends where you are. And if you would like to start a march in your own city, that's a possibility too. If you would like to be part of the march in your own city, then we are putting people together in particular cities as well. So contact us and we will make things happen.
And Frank, you were sharing with me some of the good news about different countries and locations that have signed on. Would you be willing to share with our listeners, like who's signed on so far?
We were very excited when the first country, Poland, signed on. So that's fantastic. So we've had many other countries and other cities in the United States stating that they want to participate. So we're putting that together. We're putting together a playbook so the persons will have everything they need to help execute a very successful event. So contact us and we'll share that with you.
Great. So they'll get some instructions and some networking tools. And I think it's lovely that Poland was the first to sign on. That's so wonderful.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. And I think we've got Melissa, who says that she definitely wants to get involved somehow. And then Trish is asking if there are any in Canada. Has anyone in Canada stepped up?
Not yet. So be the first, and we'll welcome you. I love Canada. I used to live in Vancouver.
Oh, um, hi, this is Trish. I was just going to interject and mention further on that. I have a couple of meetings that are going to go on with Dharma Voices for Animals. So it's a Buddhist group for the animals. And I will mention all of this. Since we don't have the PSA ready, I'll just forward it to them after the meeting, because some people are in California. I would like to, I really would like to see someone there in California. Your Orange County's in California, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'll be in Canada. So I will talk to a couple of different people in different cities across Canada and see if maybe something might transpire that way. So I will sign up for your email notices to make sure that I'm kept abreast as to what's going on. And we can get
Great, Trish. Thank you very much.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that is wonderful news, because
That's fantastic.
perhaps there can be different activists that join together in Canada to put together this march. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. Now, Frank, is this something that you intend to be an annual event, or is this a time event?
I believe it'll be an annual event. It's certainly looking that way right now. But we will certainly make that decision when we look at the success of the first event. It's a monumental undertaking. And I certainly know, as you know, because of my executive background, I've put together many large events or operations. So it's not unlike I don't understand, but it is monumental. It definitely is. But it's heartwarming, and I can't help myself.
Yeah. Now, there is a gal that I've worked with who does an event called Compassion Fest, and she's in the northeast area of the United States, and she has her event every July. It's like July 22nd or something along those lines. I think that they're moving forward with, it's like a festival without a march, but it might be interesting to connect up with them. I don't know if they'd be willing to do another large event like that a few months later, but they certainly have the community for it. There's several hundred people that attend this event every year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Just the commonality would be beneficial to understand what they're doing, how they do it. That would be great.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So I'll introduce you to Tabitha, and she actually has been part of our vegan spirituality group in the New Haven area. So that's how we found out about her. So it's wonderful. And I'm also curious about, how did you get connected with this, the Compassion Charter? Because this is pretty phenomenal. So we have many vegan activists and vegan groups. We often do events with one another, but here we've got a group that is not necessarily a vegan group that's joining in, and that there will be a profound impact, hopefully, on them as well.
Yes. You can certainly go to Charter for Compassion. They do marvelous work. And I contacted them because they were, of course, one of the leaders in the compassion movement. And they have such a broad reach of people from every walk of life. And I love their ideals. And they have a great video, which is fantastic. You have to watch it. It really is heartwarming. That has about 15 people talking about what compassion is. Very moving. You'll love to watch it. So please watch that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Frank. I actually watched it because it's on your website, and I thought, who are these people? And it really is a nice sense of their community and their objectives. So hopefully everyone will check it out. And then also, I think Kundan is saying that his friend Stephanie is a co-founder of Generation Awakening, which helps stop poaching of elephants. They could probably be part of the march too. Wonderful.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's great. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. So part of how we can help, this is so nice to have our gathering together beforehand, so we can start get the the wheels spinning and the ball rolling, and help make those connections so that Frank's event and the whole experience of it can really be adopted by people in different communities, because the time to do that, because people will need an opportunity to get the permits for the march and encourage exhibitors to do that. One thing that, Frank, that you did that I think may have also made it a little easier was to connect up with have your event in concert with the Socal Veg Fest. And maybe this is easier for other communities too. If there is a local organizer of the Veg Fest, maybe they can coordinate their dates so that the festival, then the organizer would be focusing on the march, and another group could do the festival part, which involves a whole set of getting exhibitors and other sorts of tasks. So
Yes, the Southern California Veg Fest is a dynamic group of beautiful human beings that have put on this beautiful vegan festival every year, which 16,000 or more people attend. And so we have come together to push those numbers up to what we hope will be about 40,000 people. So we have combined our efforts together for the overall goal of greater compassion. And it's a great group, Southern California Veg Fest. Yes.
yeah, another thing that will happen around
SoCal
that.
Veg Fest.
Yeah, the Socal
Yeah.
Veg Fest. Another really interesting event, we had a while ago a speaker, Thomas Jackson, who is a filmmaker, and he's putting together a documentary called The Compassion Project. And I think they're going to actually screen it at this event to connect with the Great Compassion March.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's done marvelous work, and we look forward to really getting his message out there to all of our tens of thousands of followers, because his work, his message is exemplary, and it certainly deserves as much attention that we can give it, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and for those people who are new to, for those who don't know about the Compassion Project, the goal of it is to reach out to spiritual and religious leaders around the world and talk to them about compassion, about their values, and then kind of question, well, are they vegan? And if so, if not, why not? To really explore their deep values of compassion and how and why or why not, or hasn't it so far connected with taking the vegan challenge. And I think he's also connecting it with this idea of doing a 30-day pledge to be vegan. So it'll be interesting to see how that that film is viewed by all these people who are attending the march.
I think it's going to be very powerful. I love his message, and he's done some great work. So I look forward to working deeply with his group.
Yeah, well, this is really very exciting. Let's see if anyone has any other questions. You're welcome to write them in the chat box, or like I mentioned, you can jump on like Trish did. And we loved that when people feel comfortable to share their webcams. You can turn them on, even if it looks like they're off. You can still turn them on yourself on your own device. I may have turned them off originally because so we would be able to focus on Frank, but I invite you to join back in. Let's see. And I'm not seeing any others in the chat box, but there are many people who've joined in. And I really want to thank everyone so much for participating tonight. And this is the seeds right here where we're starting to put together and expand this idea so there can be more of these great compassion marches in different cities. And it sounds like we've got Poland on board, but it'd be great to have other cities in the United States. And we can do things like this. There are amazing marches, like there was a global march for elephants and rhinos, and that took off, and thousands of people joined that march. That was going on for a few years. So we have some great models out there as to how to galvanize people of all different types, people who may or may not be vegan, and join together. And those people who are new to the concept will learn about it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. So let's see if are there any other questions from anyone, or possibly from Judy?
Well, I'm just looking at the clock, and we are almost out of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we want to hear Frank's closing prayers. I didn't want to run out of time.
Sure, that sounds great.
Yeah, but if there are any other questions, if you see anything pop up there, otherwise maybe we should go to the closing prayer.
That sounds wonderful. Well, thank you, Judy, and also to Frank for offering to lead our prayer this evening.
Fantastic. So when we connect our heart with our hands and our feet, we become tools of compassion and kindness. That is my prayer for all of you, to connect those aspects of your life to be the most loving, compassionate human being that you can possibly be. And if you're loving on animals, you know how to love. So keep loving on the animals so we can love on each other. And thank you for being here tonight and march with us. I'd love to see you. And there's going to be tens of thousands of people marching in Orange County, California. We hope that you can make it and be one of the tens of thousands. Also, I should mention that the march is being documented as well in a documentary film. So we are actually taking people that are participating in the march, and we're going to be filming them now all the way for the next 6 months until the march, so we can actually look at the metamorphosis a person goes through as they prepare for the Great Compassion March. And if you'd like to become one of those lives that we follow, let us know, because we'd love to entertain that with you. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, Lisa, Judy, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You guys do such great work. You're an inspiration to all of us, and we so appreciate your love. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Frank. And just to let everyone know, this gathering happens every month. So our next one will be it'll be the second Thursday of June, and we have a gal named Sandra Silani who's going to join us, and she has written a book called The 40-Year-Old Vegan that includes a spiritual component to it. So we're looking forward to hearing from her, and we hope you can join us then as well. But meanwhile, have a wonderful evening, and thanks to Frank for sharing your love with us and for explaining what's going to happen at the Great Compassion March. I know I'll definitely be there, and hopefully people around the world will also be marching in unison. So thanks to everyone. If you want to unmute yourself for a group goodbye, feel free to do that. That's kind of our tradition on this call, and we hope that you'll join us. It's a wonderful community. Oh, thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us.
Blessings.
Vegan blessings.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. It's great to hear your voices.